Hello, everyone. Well, it's been a busy couple of weeks for me. I've been returning to school and, college. And it's school for big kids, like me. And big, big kid college, school. Had to buy notebooks, had to run around all over town, had lots of assignments due, and um, just keeping up with the good work. Yeah. And it was actually something from that I read in my college class that brings me to the discussion at hand in this video, and that is self-sufficiency of the U.S. Self-sufficiency of the U.S. is a very important topic because we aren't self-sufficient and we haven't been for many, many years, and it's getting to be a crisis time where we are um, helpless without help from foreign entities, foreign companies, and uh, um, foreign countries. So we have a big problem on our hands in America. I'll tell you a little story of the butter dish. The butter dish, I wanted a butter dish for keeping butter in. So there would be like a room temperature consistency, soft, but not liquid, but just soft. And so I began looking online for a butter dish, and I searched butter dish made in America. And there were a whole bunch of search results like there always are. But none of them were really made in America. When you looked up close to them, they were labeled made in China, even though it was they were selling themselves as an American company. The American front company selling Chinese goods. And so then I thought I finally found it. It was the holy grail. I finally found one butter dish that was made in America. And this person had a whole um, a whole website set up. This website was all set up saying "Made in America" butter dishes, and then I dug and dug and dug and dug and dug and dug and dug on her website, and she admitted that they were made in China, the butter dishes. But she was an American company, so that made it American because she was an American company. But the butter dishes were actually made in China to her specifications. So what, made in China is made in China. So it was very disappointing, and I finally bought a butter dish that was made in Indonesia. That was the best I could do, is to buy a butter dish made in Indonesia. At least it wasn't China. So yeah, and butter dishes, you can't escape from made in China because everything, everything, everything is made in China. Oh my goodness, China's taken over the whole earth. They have. China's taken over the whole world. And if they had their way, they'd take over other worlds too. Think about that. Think about China taking over other worlds too. So, um, not that I have anything against China except maybe their treatment of the Uyghurs, and also the treatment of the Hong Kong, Taiwan, and also the treatment of the Dalai Lama and the Tibetans. So China's got a sad history of imperialism, just like we do. We have a comparable. Uh, so China isn't much better than us, but they're not. but they're arguably worse. But we have a history in our country of mistreatment and mishandling, uh, you know, indigenous peoples. We've been very cruel to indigenous peoples, but so is China. So, is China better or worse than us? Who's to say? They might be. They might arguably be worse than us, but who's to say whether they're better or worse? Probably worse, but they don't want to admit it because they're China. They're in control of everything you hear, everything you see, everything you do in China. While you're in China, they're in control of what you see, do, and believe. And it's not that way in America. We've been putting ourselves down for a really long time now, and we don't take enough credit for the good things we've done. So it's the opposite condition in China. In China, you believe that China is without fault, without spot, without taint, that China is number one. And whatever they've done behind the curtain, keep that closed up and don't allow it to be in public view. Another thing that is important to know is that with the COVID crisis, we had with the COVID crisis, we had an emergency where there were supply lines from China that got cut off. They cut off all shipments from China for months and months and months. And it was a very slow process, of sending things over from China. And everyone felt it. Everyone felt it. Everyone noticed it. That's another reason why U.S. has to become more self-sufficient. They don't have to be 100% self-sufficient, but they have to be self-sufficient enough that people can survive without China. Just because of the COVID crisis. Just because of the COVID crisis. Because in an emergency, the Americans would be, and other countries too. Other countries have to become self-sufficient too, because we would be cut off from all of our supplies. All the things we need would be cut off from us. All the things we need, all the supplies we need, all of the things we count on and depend on would be cut off if there were another emergency on the scale of COVID. So, nothing against China. It's just that we need to be more self-sufficient because of COVID. And it could happen again. Our supply chain could get cut off again. Our supplies from China could get cut off again and that's a very big if there were another emergency on the magnitude of COVID, which is very possible. It happens maybe once in every 70 years or so, but it can happen, and we should be prepared for another emergency on the scale of COVID. So we need to be prepared as a country. We need to be more self-sufficient. We need to make butter dishes and other things. Computers. Oh boy, we're way behind when it comes to manufacturing computer chips. That's mainly done in China, and we don't know how. We don't know how to make these computer chips anymore. We need to know how to make computer chips. So, what else is in the news? Trump is ahead in the polls. Trump is ahead in the polls. People respect Trump. They remember his presidency. They respect him, and they're counting on him. They're counting on him to pull us through the next 4 years. And they're not counting on Biden because Bidenomics has been a failure. It's been not a complete failure, but mostly a failure. And there's been such um, high inflation, and they tell us, oh, inflation is not caused by anything the government does. Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. You're hiding the source of inflation. You're hiding the source of inflation, which is the actions of the government. The actions of the government are. Just give me a break. It's rocket science. It's complicated, but yes, when the government spends too much money, the the inflation goes up, and then the Fed set an interest rate, and interest rates go up in response to the inflation which they created by spending too much money in the first place. So it is the government, and to say that it's not the government, like some website I saw said something like, oh, maybe 32% of inflation can be accounted for by the government. That's pretty substantial, and that can cause hard times on folks that need to feed their families. That's the main thing, is to feed families. And the interest rates, when they go up, the rent goes up. So the people have to pay the rent, they have to pay for groceries, and all those things are affected by inflation and by government spending. So, leave you with this, that whether or not Trump is the answer or not, we have to make a change. There's got to be a change in this country because Biden isn't working out. Biden isn't working out. So whether you vote for Trump or somebody else, please vote for somebody else other than Biden, because he's a problem. And I didn't get a chance to watch the Republican debates. And I'm kind of sorry I didn't get to see the interview with Tucker Carlson and Trump. I didn't get to see any of that. But counting on the people of this country, am I counting on these guys to vote Biden out of office, because he really needs to go. He has to go. That's all there is to it. He created this inflationary problem, as making it difficult for myself and my family to survive. Everything is so expensive now. I mean, the price of groceries for me has doubled overnight, and it's just too much. It's too much, and I can't afford it anymore. And I can't afford Biden. He's making it difficult for us to live. So that's it. You guys have a terrific week, and don't fall for Bidenomics.